welcome once again, everyone. My name is Morphia Piri. I'm a member of the customer success team at Doability, and I will be facilitating this particular webinar. As we go through the webinar, please do feel free to take note of any questions that you might have, and you can use the Q&A chat to just post your questions there. I have another member of my team, Marta, who will be looking out for any questions that you have there. If it's something that's not specifically related to our current topic, she'll be able to respond to it there. Otherwise, we'll pick up all the questions related to our topic for today at the end of the seminar, at the end of the presentation. Yeah, so we will have this presentation in two parts. I will make some presentation using slides, and then we'll go into a practical demonstration of of our topic for today. So we'll be looking at streamlining survey management with automated integrations. In particular, we'll be looking at the Zapier integration for today. So we will go right ahead and get started. Okay, this webinar is brought to you by the Safe People and Data Initiative, where we work to adapt data collection methods from in-person interviewing to methods that protect everyone involved, providing the safest environment possible. For example, the integrations we'll be discussing can be useful in developing new mixed data collection methods. Okay. So we previously have had a few presenters in our webinar series who've come to speak to us about how they are adapting their own data collection. And if you want to contribute to the initiative in some way, it could be through offering resources or any other way, please feel free to get in touch with us. On the screen there, you will see a link to a website. You can go and read more about the Safe People Data Initiative. And then there's also an email address. You can send us an email there and we can pick up our conversation and see how best you can participate in this particular initiative. Okay, so that's just an introduction to our context to where the webinar is coming from. In terms of what we'll be looking at today, we can divide the activities that we'll have in 3 or in 4 sessions or 4 areas. We will look at why integrations. Then we will look at integrations that are available in SurveyCTO. Then we will look at integrating with Zapier itself and go into the use cases or demonstration of how this integration with Zapier happens. So we'll go straight into it by looking at why integrations, what they are and why they are important. Okay, now an integration you could simply think of as a way that you can use SurveyCTO to integrate this platform with other external tools. Okay, those external tools could be tools that are targeted at different specializations. So you could have external tools that visualize data, you could have external tools that generate reports, or external tools that will trigger some action based on the data that is coming in from our forms. Okay, so when you submit a form to SurveyCTO, you may want to do more than it. We offer some visualization, but you may want to stretch or extend the functionality of visualization using another tool, maybe a tool that you're more familiar with or a tool that's been adopted by your organization. And ultimately, the goal of these integrations is really to streamline the process. And so if you've got a particular reporting tool and you're collecting data using SurveyCTO, you could be able to link SurveyCTO to that tool so that you can do your reporting easier. So once you streamline your processes, obviously your work becomes faster, but it's also more secure. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you'll be able to produce better quality data. So you can see how these integrations can make your life easier, but also can make your work more efficient. Okay, so that's why we have these integrations available. So what integrations exactly do we have? And so this moves us into the second part, the integrations that are available in SurveyCTO. So we broadly categorize these integrations into 3. We have automated integrations. These are integrations that are quite easy to set up and they are less technical. By clicking a couple of buttons, you'll be able to connect into SurveyCTO with other systems. Okay, so examples of these, Zapier, which we'll be looking at today, Google Sheets and OpenFM. But you can also have your own integrations. Okay, so for those that are a bit more savvy in terms of usage of tech, you can have connections to SurveyCTO using what are called RESTful APIs. So these are application programmer interfaces, but also you can use webhooks. These will give you a higher flexibility, and they can also connect to your own systems that you've created. They'll be able to move the data from SurveyCTO into those particular systems. Then we have other integrations which give you ways to get data out of SurveyCTO into other tools that you might use for data analysis. So you can export data directly into Stata, you can export data into SPSS, and whatever other tools that you have. So if you're doing your analysis in Stata, there are easy ways to actually get your data out of SurveyCTO into Stata and be able to do your analysis there. So 3 ways in which we offer integrations: automated integrations, own integrations, and other integrations. We do have quite a bit of documentation available in our product documentation, but also in our support center, which deal with all of these different areas. And I will be able to share some links with you regarding these different topics. Okay, so having looked at what integrations are and also looked at some of the types of integrations that are available in SurveyCTO, we do want to focus on integrating with Zapier for this particular webinar. So we will start by trying to understand what is Zapier. Some of you may be familiar with it already. It's really a service that allows you to link applications together. Okay, so you may have different applications that are offering different services, and they can benefit from communicating with each other. You can use Zapier to link them. Okay, a simple example is I may want to send an email when I receive a submission from SurveyCTO. SurveyCTO doesn't automatically send an email, but I can link SurveyCTO to Gmail and send an email of the submission that I have received. This is one of the things we'll look at. So essentially, Zapier allows you to trigger actions such as sending a Slack message, sending a tweet, sending an SMS based on some action that's happening. And obviously, Zapier is a service external to SurveyCTO, but you can leverage the positive aspects that it brings by connecting it to SurveyCTO. And so we will demonstrate how you are able to do this. And to do so, it's quite easy. You need to do some work on the SurveyCTO end, basically just some configuration there using these 4 steps. I'll walk through the steps now, both for SurveyCTO and Zapier, and then I'll demonstrate these steps afterwards. So you need to make sure that your advanced publishing is on in SurveyCTO. And when you've set up your publishing, you need to pick up which form you want to publish. Then you need to configure a connection to Zapier. And once you configure that connection to Zapier in SurveyCTO, you can copy the key that will be generated there, and you will put it in Zapier later on, which I'll talk about. And this will make the connection. This is what will say to Zapier, this is the form that you're relating with in SurveyCTO. So that's on the SurveyCTO end. Just 4 simple steps, and you will have pretty much set up SurveyCTO to send information to Zapier. On the Zapier end, you have to create an account with Zapier. Once you've created that account, you will need to create what's called a Zap or an action. What is the action that you want Zapier to take when a SurveyCTO sends a trigger? And then you will add the SurveyCTO connection by pasting in that API key that SurveyCTO generated. And then you configure the action. What exactly or how do you want this action to take place? So again, very, very simple steps that you will do. Now, look, Zapier does offer you a number of different things that you can do, especially when it comes to configuring the action. You can configure the action to work using filters. So if a particular response in SurveyCTO is a certain value, then I want this to happen. So you can make those kinds of connections. You can use Zapier to format the incoming data in a particular way. You can use Zapier to schedule. So you know that this trigger comes in from SurveyCTO at this time, but I want this particular action to happen at a different time. You can use Zapier to schedule all of those kind of activities. We may not have a chance to go through each and every one of them, but it was good to know that there are all of these pretty complex things that you can do with Zapier to improve your workflow. Okay, and a good mention here is also the fact that Zapier does offer templates, and what these templates, they're just shortcuts to getting started with SurveyCTO. So if you want to do a task that many others who've used Zapier do already, you can just pick up on a template. So you can see there are some templates here which already are available within Zapier. You'll be able to send email, create spreadsheets. You don't have to go through the steps of picking which application connects to which application if you come and pick up on one of these templates. So these templates are also available, but you're not limited to the actions that are in these particular templates. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about what Zapier is. Let's see what Zapier looks like in action. And we'll do this by looking at some use cases. Okay, so we have 3 use cases that we'll look at: sending an SMS, we'll look at sending an email notification based on a response, and then we will look at using Slack if you want to use that as a communication channel. We'll use Slack as our example. Let's see if we can get into that. Okay, so what we'll do is just follow the steps that we discussed earlier. As I had mentioned, we want to demonstrate form submission. So we do have a simple form that we have within SurveyCTO. Really just a basic, simple registration form with a number of fields. And I've opened this form just in our online editor so that you can see what it has. It asks for a region and then some demographics about an individual, their name, their gender, their age, their phone number, their email address, and then it generates a unique ID for them. So that's essentially what this form does. And so the idea here is we want to be able to register an individual. Once we've registered an individual, we want to set up Zapier to either email them or to create a Slack message or to send an SMS. So just to demonstrate these particular activities. Okay, so we said the first step is to go into SurveyCTO and to our server console, and we need to set up our publishing. So we will go under export. Okay, and then scroll down to the bottom here and look for the section on advanced publishing form and dataset data to the cloud. Okay, so if this is off, you will just go right ahead and turn it on. Okay, once you've turned it on, you will look for the form. Which form do you want to publish? So this is our form, the simple registration form, and we'll click on configure. And we have here the option to configure add a Zapier connection. So I'll go right ahead here and click on add. And we have a couple of options here. The first is that we need to give this connection a name. Okay, so I'll give it a simple name here. Let me say Gmail. And then you pick up what fields you want to publish to this particular connection. Which fields do you want to be available in Zapier? Now, you can pick up only some fields so that you just publish some fields, or you can select to pick up everything. In this case, I will just go right ahead and select everything so that all my fields are available in Zapier. And then you have a couple of options here. You can include a hyperlink to submission, which when you click, you'll be able to see the full submission on. You can also include a text summary. You can also choose to publish your existing data. We explain this a little more in our article, so do feel free to look through that article. For now, I will just pick up on including the submission URL, and then I'll click Save and Continue. So once I've clicked Save and Continue, I'm given this API key. So again, you don't have to memorize it or anything. You can just click on copy to clipboard and this will be copied. Once you do that, you will go into Zapier. So remember the 4 steps on SurveyCTO are done. So now I go to Zapier. In Zapier, I already have an account and I have already logged in. You can easily create an account with Zapier by going to zapier.com and creating an account there. So I will go into the step of now creating a Zap. So I'll click on Create Zap and it will walk me through the different steps for me to be able to actually create a Zap. So the first thing that I need to do is which application is going to trigger this particular event, okay? In this case, it's SurveyCTO. SurveyCTO will send something and then do something based on what I receive. So I will go here, you can search for it if you want it there, SurveyCTO. Okay, there's SurveyCTO, I'll click on it. And then what is the trigger that's going to happen is when there's a new form submission. That's what's going to trigger the action that I want to take. So when there's a new form submission, I want Zapier to do something. Then I'll click on continue. And then I have to connect to my SurveyCTO. So I say sign into SurveyCTO. There's a new window that pops up here, and Zapier asks me, I need to access your account. And for me to access that account, provide me the API key that was generated. So I just paste in the API key here and then click yes to continue. Okay, once that happens, it's connected, and then I can go on and click that. Then I set up the trigger. Okay, the trigger connection is this Gmail, which is what I create, what I called my connection in SurveyCTO. I called it Gmail, so I'll just click on it. And then I will say continue. Okay, once that's done, we can test the trigger just to make sure SurveyCTO is talking to Zapier just fine. So once that happens, you'll see that, yes, we are able to actually, though these are blank, we can get the different fields that we have in our form are showing up here. So we are happy with that. We just click there and continue. So the next step is setting up an action. Okay, what action do I want when this form is received? And so this is where you have different applications that you can do, but this is where you also have those different options I spoke about. If you wanted to filter, you can use this to filter. I will start off with the Gmail and end with the SMS because the SMS is just a bit, has a few more steps, which I want to explain as I do it. So we'll do the Gmail first, which is quick, and then we'll end with the SMS. So I'll go right ahead here and pick Gmail because that's the app that I want to be triggered. And then I have the option here to say, what event do I want to happen when Gmail is selected? Okay. We said you have action items. So we can pick Gmail because what we want is when we receive a submission to send an email. So Gmail is picked up there. And then you have the option here. What do you want to do? Do you want to create an email? Do you want to create a draft? Do you want to create a label? So all of these things that if you use Gmail normally you are familiar with. Okay, so we say we want to send an email and then we'll click on continue. Okay, then you have to sign into the Gmail account that you will be using. Okay, in my case, I will use my SurveyCTO account, which is connected to Gmail. I will give it the permissions that it needs. And then I'm set. Okay, so there's this connection now for it to be able to send from Gmail. And then you have the different things that your action needs to do. So you can see that when a lot of these things are familiar to you for if you've ever sent an email before. The two, who do I want to send this email to? In my case, I actually want to send an email to the email address that is entered in my form. So I will come into my form and look for the email address. So you can see it says email address, I'll pick up that. So it's going to send to the email address that's entered in the form. Do I want to CC someone? Okay, I want to CC myself so that I can see the email that I have just generated. Okay. And then there's BCC if you wanted to BCC someone, but you can also see that you can enter multiple email addresses at any of these levels. Okay, so from where is the email coming from? It will come from Morphia at SurveyCTO. From name, I will put my name there. It's coming from me. If you have a reply to, you can add that. And then what do you want in the subject line of the email? Okay, so I can just say registration complete. And in that subject line, I also want to add the key, whatever key was generated in the form. So I will come here and look at the different parts of my form. I'll look for the key and I will pick the new ID. And so whatever ID is generated will be what is added in the subject line. Okay. And then in the body, I can add a proper email. Hi, I want to say hi using the name of the person that was registering. So I'll just say name. So it will dynamically add the name there. Your submission had the following information. Okay, go your gender, and I can come and search for gender here so that it will include the gender. And then I can have your age. I'll come here and search your age here. And I can add as many fields as I want. And I can just say thanks. Okay, so as a quick demo, this is what we've added. You can also add a signature to your email, a label where you want this email to go. But essentially, those are the steps. Once I have configured my action like this, I can go on and just click on continue. You can test your action to see whether it actually works. If you have some data already in your forms, you can submit this. But if I wanted to send this now, the 2 doesn't have a value. So I will have to fill out a form. So I'll skip the test and let this save up. Okay, so it's saved up and I can go on and turn on my Zap. I'm happy with what I've made, so I will go right ahead and turn on my Zap. So you can see that my Zap is on. Okay, and so I can go and test this. Does it actually work? By going into my form, I will go to collect now, and I'll fill out one submission for my form. So I'll come to collect, and I'm sure you're familiar with submitting web forms. I'll open my form. I will come here. I'll pick a region. Then I will put in a name here. Pick genders, gender, maybe female. Their age is 34. A phone number, it's not mandatory, but email is important because I want to send them an email here. So I will say their email is morphia1@gmail.com, which is my other email address. I'll go to next. And this is the key that has been generated. So I expect to see this in my data. And I'm happy with that. So I would just go right ahead and submit my form. Once I've submitted my form, I expect an email to be sent to the addresses that we included there. And so if I go to the email for Morphia1, I can come and see this email. You can see that something has been sent here. Hi, Jane Doe. Your submission has the following information. The gender was female, the age was 34, and the things. So you can see that that template we created has been sent to this particular individual. Okay, and so that's setting up emails. So you can give your Zap a name. In this case, I can call it Gmail. I can save this, and then I can go back to my list of Zaps. Okay, so you can see there was that Zap that I created, Gmail, it's particular on. I can fill that form over again and we would be fine. So the steps for any other action is basically the same. So I will not go through the steps of, again, linking it to SurveyCTO. I think we looked at those steps already. What I will just try and show is I'll just edit this same Zap and just show different actions. Okay, so this first section here is essentially the same to link to SurveyCTO. So let's try this and let's delete this particular step and just add a new action. In this case, let's say we want to send a Slack message. Okay, so I've picked Slack as my action. What do I want to do? I want to send to a direct channel. Again, these activities, if you're familiar with Slack, these are the activities that you are normally used to. So I'll click on continue. And then you obviously have to link it to your Slack account. Okay, so I will quickly link it to my Slack account. So if you are not logged into Slack already, you need to log in here. Mine is logged in, so it goes right ahead to just ask for permissions. So I'll click on allow. Okay, that's my Slack account, and then continue. Again, you have a number of choices here. I will just pick the essential ones which are required. So choose, I want this to go to the Slack for Morphia. What's the message that I want? Hi, Morphia. Yeah. And say you have received submission from, and then I will put in the name. So this is a submission from the name that's entered in the form. And then because Morphia is a SurveyCTO user, has access to SurveyCTO, I can just send them the URL. You can see full details here, okay? And then I will just put in the submission URL, okay? So what happens is Morphia will get the Slack message. If you want to open this particular message or at least see the details for this submission, they can just click on the link and they'll be taken to the Data Explorer. So because Morphia has access to the Data Explorer, the link will work for Morphia just fine. There are a number of different other options that you can set up here. You can explore them as you try to set up something, but you'll see that the only two required are the username to whom you're sending and the message that you're actually sending. So I can go here, click on continue. Again, you can test this, but I will skip the test for now. Okay, my Zap is off. I will just come right ahead and turn it on. Okay, once my Zap is on, what do I need to do? I need to submit a form so that we can test whether it's actually working. So I'll come here, I'll fill out a form. Okay, what region, Pacifico, the name, let's call this guy Mike Banda, is male, Mike is 32. We'll skip the phone, we'll skip the, can add the email address, keep the same email address. Okay, but now it's just connected to Slack, so the email address won't really matter. So again, there's an ID that's been generated there. And when we submit this, we expect Morphia to receive a Slack message. Okay, so if I can quickly show you a Slack here, Morphia has received a Slack message, which is this bottom one. Hi, Morphia, you've received a submission from Mike Banda, who's the guy we just created. And there's a link. You can see the full details here. And if Morphia copies this link, goes into the Data Explorer, let's open a new tab, paste this link here, Morphia will have access to all of these details. Obviously, because Morphia is a user of SurveyCTO, you have access to all of these and can see that particular submission. Okay. The third one, again, we can go back into the Zap. I will just reuse the same one because the first part is essentially the same. Let's look at sending a text message. Okay, sending a text message can be a bit more tricky because you need to get an SMS app. Now, if you see here and I type in SMS, there are a number of SMS apps. Okay, and these vary by market. So for example, there's this SMS by Zapier, but currently SMS by Zapier only works in the US and in the UK. So I can't use it because I'm currently based in Zambia. But if somebody was in the US or the UK, they could use that. So these are different services. You can look at each one of them individually. I will use one that I know works internationally, which is called Twilio. Okay, so I'll pick on Twilio and I need to see what do I want to do when I connect to Twilio. I can either make a phone call or I want to send an SMS in this case. Okay, then I'll go right here and click on continue. I have to connect to Twilio. So the way Twilio asks you to connect is using an API key, just like SurveyCTO. So I have to go into my Twilio account. I have to copy this ID, and then I have to put it inside here. And then I have to go back to Twilio and copy another key, which is this auth token. And then I have to put it in here. And then I can make the connection. So once I do this, this is connected to my Twilio account. Okay. And then I can continue. What's the action I want to do? What number is this coming from? In this case, it will come from my Twilio number. And so I will pick up this Twilio number here. I want to be able to send this text message to the number that's entered in the form. Okay, so I will say, look, phone number. Yes, there we go. So that's the number I want it to go to. Again, what's the message? Simple message because it's a text message. Hi, name of the individual. Okay, so this is your registration number is, and I can pick up the registration number from whatever key is generated here. So there we go. That's it. That's all I want in this particular message. Okay. The other things that you can change here, I'll just do something simple like that and say continue. Okay, I once again skip the test, and then I will go right ahead and try to turn on my Zap. Okay, so my Zap is on, and the expectation is now if I go and fill in a form, I should be able to send a text message. Okay, so I'll come here. I will say I'm in the Caribbean. My name is John Piri, male, age is 56. My phone number, so the phone number here is important. Put in, I'll just put in the number here. Okay. I can put in the email address also. Okay, there we go. And then I will submit this. Okay, when I submit this, I expect to receive a text message. Okay, text message will be sent to that particular number. Okay, so text messages generally take just a little longer to come. So we hope it will come through. I think it's come through. All right, I can share this here, and you can see that this is for my Twilio, because the trial account is this stuff that's appended by Twilio, but it says, "Hi, John Piri, your registration number is this," and it sent that to me. Okay, so sorry, it took a bit longer because of some pauses in the technology there, but hopefully you've gotten a sense of how you can go about linking SurveyCTO to Twilio and getting Twilio to do a number of things for you based on the data that's coming in from SurveyCTO. Yeah, so before I close off here, I would just want to remind us, and I'll say this again at the end, that we have more webinars coming on. Our next webinar will be on the 6th of October, and it will be about learning how to conduct implicit association tests with SurveyCTO. And so we'll have more information coming out to you by email, but you can also check out our blog and constantly keep in touch there, see what we have coming up.